Hey, it's Clip of the Day time where Buck Sexton and I pick out the best hot take, the most fun that we had for all of you to be able to experience on the show.
That's right, and this segment is brought to you by ExpressVPN, which is the virtual private network that we trust to protect our online data.
When I use ExpressVPN, the big tech companies can't see my IP address, my identity is anonymized, and my data's encrypted. That gives me the absolute maximum protection.
And what I like is how easy it is to use. Just download the app to your phone or computer, and you're protected. So visit expressvpn.com/patriot today, and you'll get an extra 3 months free, or you can click on the link in the description below.
That's expressvpn.com/patriot, and now it's time for the clip of the day.
Dave Chappelle has come under fire in recent weeks for his wildly popular comedy special, which both Buck and I have watched, that has aired on Netflix. The transgender population is furious that he would make any jokes at their expense, and they are demanding that he be canceled. Chappelle fired back yesterday. This is what he said.
You said you want a safe working environment at Netflix. Well, it seems like I'm the only one that can't go to the office anymore. I want everyone in this audience to know that even though the media frames this, that it's me versus that community, that is not what it is. It's about corporate interests and what I can say and what I cannot say. To the transgender community, I am more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. I am not bending to anybody's demands. You have to answer the question, am I canceled or not? Then let's go.
I love that last part, by the way. I mean, when
Yes.
he says, you will not summon me, I will not bend the knee. And let's be very clear about this. This is a big moment for the left-wing machinery of forcing people to bend the knee. Dave Chappelle is, as we've discussed, arguably the most successful comedian of the last decade or two. Certainly among the most successful African-American comedians of all time, but just in general among all comedians as well. He's wildly successful. He's incredibly wealthy and influential. He's making tens of millions of dollars for these specials. Clay, if they can get Dave Chappelle to apologize, they can get anybody to apologize. And this is where you start to see the way the absolutism creeps in here and why it's such an important marker, such an important case. And I would also add that as you and I have watched this special, for anybody who hasn't seen it, he doesn't even make the kind of jokes that you would think based on the outrage. You know, he's not, ridiculing and mocking in a nasty way the trans community. He pokes some fun here and there. He actually spends a fair amount of time trying to, during the special, do what I would consider to be, extended hand, do outreach, talk about how friendly he is. He talks about a close transgender acquaintance of his and that relationship. And he, also at one point says, I wasn't making fun of that community. I was making fun of, white people. I mean, there's a lot of things that he gets into there where he tried to be a little bit, not just reaching out, but also a little bit woke. I mean, it wasn't like some scorched earth, I'm going to make any jokes I want. But Clay, this is about getting Dave Chappelle to bend the knee, because if they can get him canceled, or even just this show, he's not going to get canceled fully, but if they can get this pulled off of Netflix, what can't the activists do? By the way, the trans activists, many of whom are not trans, these are just left-wing activists who like the power of the good heavens, LGBTQ++ community.
I love what he said, in particular the final line, am I canceled or not, and the roar that he got from the crowd. I believe that there is a great mass of people, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, gay, straight, even transgender and not transgender, that are universally, to a large extent, opposed to cancel culture. And the idea that you can cancel a comedian over a joke that you do not like, regardless of who you are, is fundamentally antithetical to everything that comedy stands for. Because good comedy is about protecting no one, not allowing people, based on their identity, to escape your razor and rapier wit. And so what is going on here is, don't mistake this, this is a big cultural battle. Late night television. Everybody went after Donald Trump. In 4 years, they abandoned the norm, which had always been that the Johnny Carsons and the David Lettermans of the world punched evenly at both Democrats and Republicans. And then Colbert had success, and everybody in late night television, Fallon, Kimmel, the whole crew, certainly Trevor Noah, they all turned into basically anti-Trump networks. And they were only making fun of Republicans and only making fun of Trump. And who you make fun of and who you are allowed to make fun of is a big part of cultural significance in this country. It's why, Buck, I love South Park, because my standard is everyone should be able to be made fun of equally, right? Everybody is fair game, because if you don't, then the people that you're protecting are leading to an inequitable society, ironically enough. If transgender people can raise their hands and say, you can't make fun of us, then they are arguing for the end in many ways of comedy, because they're taking certain parts of comedic opportunity off the table.
And it shows you who really has power. And that's what this Dave Chappelle outrage is all about, because they want the rule to be you cannot make jokes about the trans community. They also, and this is, I think, very important for everyone to know, you cannot speak the truth about the trans community if it is offensive to them. Things like, for example, the study that was done at Brown University on transgender contagion among youth, among, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, who one comes out as transgender. All of a sudden, there's a huge spike, enormous spike in other people, children, who are likely to come out as transgender. That was a peer-reviewed article that was retracted by Brown University, because you're not allowed to speak the truth. You're not allowed to talk about things like, men and women are, in fact, biologically distinct and different, as we just saw from that member of Congress who said that Dr. Levine, who is now the 4-star admiral in the health service, that we're all supposed to say is the first female 4-star admiral, that's just not true. When they're using the term female, I'm sorry, they've crossed over here. We're not using the usual intersectional language that has all this sort of fuzzy, there's gender identity and gender concept and a spectrum. And no, male-female is a straightforward biological reality. And when Twitter will suspend a member of Congress for saying that it is, in fact, not, or rather, it is not true to call Dr. Levine a female, we are now in the unreality. We are in the opposite of a truth-based world. So I think it's important to note it's not just you aren't allowed to make jokes that offend the trans community and the trans agenda, because remember, a lot of people, Clay, who are so upset and who are protesting, they're not trans. They're doing this on behalf of trans individuals, whether they know any or not. Beyond that, you cannot speak biological truths that they find offensive and that stand in the way of this agenda of really the elimination of gender. That's what this is all about, which has been a Marxist concept for a long time, I might add.